Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating intersection of technology and human psychology. We're going to examine the fascinating design principles behind an AI that was built specifically to tackle one of the most massive, unmet needs of our time, and that is the global mental health access gap. You see, by 2017, depression was already the leading cause of disability worldwide. But the problem isn't necessarily a lack of sophisticated psychotherapeutic treatments. No, the real problem is access. Because if people can't actually access those incredible treatments, well, their sophistication doesn't really matter all that much. It's pretty incredible to see the insights of clinical research psychologist Alison Darcy, who built a mental health AI chatbot called Woebot. As we'll see, designing an AI for approachability and human independence completely flips the traditional tech playbook right on its head.
So I want you to think about your own life or the lives of the people you really care about and ask yourself this question: who is actually there for you at 2 in the morning? It's a fundamental issue in mental health care. Therapy doesn't just happen in a vacuum, and our emotional crises, they rarely stick to a neat 9-to-5 schedule, right? In fact, according to the data gathered by this AI platform, a staggering 75 to 80% of all their conversations happen completely outside of standard clinic hours. And even more striking, the absolute longest conversations people have with this AI happen between 2 and 5 a.m. It's exactly what we might call the 2 a.m. problem.
Okay, let's dive into this quote from Alison Darcy because it hits the nail completely on the head. She notes that you could genuinely be the most skilled, empathetic, absolutely brilliant therapist on the planet. But if your patient is having a massive panic attack in the middle of the night and you aren't there, well, you can't help them in that specific moment of crisis. When a person is spiraling, they often can't think straight. They definitely aren't going to remember the coping mechanism their therapist mentioned 3 weeks ago. That is exactly why 24/7 access and immediate approachability absolutely had to be the foundational design principles of this AI. It was built specifically to meet people exactly where they are at in the exact moments when it is hardest to reach out to another human.
And we really need to ground ourselves in the severe urgency of why this scale of access is required. 20. That is the percentage of high schoolers who have seriously considered suicide according to a recent World Health Organization study. Let that sink in for a second. Despite all our incredible innovation and technological advancement over the last few decades, we actually haven't moved the needle on mental health. We're as anxious and depressed as ever, and in many ways, things are just getting much worse. The traditional model of psychotherapy, while incredibly valuable, just isn't reaching everyone. Most people aren't getting in front of a human therapist. So we have to expand the aperture. We need additional tools that can be right beside people as they actually live their daily lives.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this urgency actually dictates how we build these tools safely. In the world of chatbots right now, literally everyone is talking about generative AI. But an AI designed for mental health interventions handles this very, very differently. The creators explored generative models and found they are fantastic for things like roleplay, helping a user practice a conversation. But for its core clinical responses, this AI relies entirely on rules-based scripting. Every single thing the AI says has been explicitly written by a writing team under the strict supervision of clinical psychologists. It's completely structured. It is kept safely and strictly on the rails.
Because of that rules-based architecture, we get this ironclad guarantee: Woebot will never make up something new. In a space as incredibly delicate as psychological well-being, the unpredictability of generative AI, what we often call hallucinations, where the AI just kind of invents information, is a massive liability. By using strict psychological scripting, the designers prevent the AI from going off the rails. It ensures the tool remains incredibly safe, reliable, and entirely predictable. Think about it. When someone is in distress, they don't need a creative, wildly inventive AI, right? They need a stable, clinically sound response.
Now, you might be wondering, do people even want to talk to a scripted machine about their deepest struggles? Well, the answer is a resounding yes, and it brings us to a highly counterintuitive benefit: the zero judgment advantage. Studies going all the way back to around 2015 show that people will actually disclose information faster to an AI than they would if they believed a human was on the other end. This is particularly pronounced when dealing with highly stigmatized issues. Why is that? Because the AI completely eliminates the fear of human judgment. You never have to worry about how you appear to the machine. You don't have to manage its feelings or stress about its reaction. That total lack of judgment accelerates the user's ability to just open up.
But here's where the design of this AI completely diverges from almost every other tech product sitting on your phone right now. 6.5 minutes. That is the average length of an interaction with this AI.
Just think about the business models of most social media or tech platforms out there. They're built for infinite engagement, right? Keeping you scrolling and chatting for as long as humanly possible. The creators of this AI view that as a fast track to addiction. Instead, they designed it for brief, intentional encounters. The whole goal is to let people talk, invite them to use a therapeutic skill like something inspired by cognitive behavioral therapy, and then get them off their phone and back to their real life as quickly as possible. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the ultimate goal of the technology, what they call the parent objective. If you're building an AI for human well-being and advancement, the goal shouldn't be to make the user dependent on the tool forever. The objective is actually incredibly similar to raising a child. A successful parent wants their child to achieve individuation, independence, and personal growth. A great AI should do the exact same thing. It should help you see that human imperfection is completely normal, challenge your dependencies, and ultimately build your own resilience so you can stand on your own 2 feet.
To really wrap our heads around this dynamic, Alison Darcy uses the brilliant tennis ball machine analogy. Imagine those mechanical machines on a tennis court that just continuously shoot balls at you. The machine isn't playing the game for you, is it? It's just a tool allowing you to practice your swing so you can get better at the actual game you play with other humans. This AI operates the exact same way. It isn't doing the hard therapeutic work for you. It doesn't magically fix your brain. It simply, consistently asks you the right questions. You are the one who has to do the heavy lifting of shifting your mindset, acknowledging your role in a conflict, or tuning into your deepest negative thinking.
Let's see how this builds into an actual framework of personal accountability. The AI actively pushes users back into real-life or IRL human interactions. Let's say a user is experiencing discomfort with other people. Step 1. The AI talks them through the pointlessness of their avoidance. Step 2. It directly encourages the user to follow through with speaking to another human being. But the real magic is Step 3. A few days later, the AI actually initiates a follow-up check-in, explicitly asking, "Hey, you said you were going to talk to Lucy. Have you done it?" It turns out, this specific accountability loop is the feature users favor most. It actively prevents the user from retreating entirely into a digital shell.
So the crucial point is that to maintain this healthy relationship, the designers establish strict, non-negotiable boundaries, these red lines. The AI will never give life advice. It will never attempt to provide a medical or psychological diagnosis. It will absolutely never give away or sell your personal data to advertisers. And interestingly, it's programmed to never flirt. Flirting just completely muddies the dynamic of what the conversation is meant to achieve. Staying firmly within these boundaries is incredibly important to protect the user's psychological safety and ensure the tool remains exactly that, just a tool.
As we rush headlong into an era where AI becomes seamlessly integrated into our lives, even our mental health, we really have to ask ourselves about the intentionality behind the design. We need to be absolutely certain that the objective function of our technology is human betterment. So, as you interact with the digital world today, I want to leave you with this question. Are your tech tools actively in service of you, fostering your independence and growth, or have they been designed so that you are in service to them?